I have seen business owners rely so much on LinkedIn that they don't realize how much of a risk that actually is. I have seen business owners who have scaled to €1 million plus and relied on LinkedIn solely to help them get there. So it's very possible, very doable to scale your business to beyond 1 million and use LinkedIn as a lead generation tool. But here's what I want you to know. LinkedIn is a lead generation tool. It's not a business model. Okay, so in this live, I'm going to be talking to you today about how to scale your business with LinkedIn and other platforms so that you can build a repeatable, scalable system. But what I want you first off to know is that scaling isn't about doing more. It's about looking at what you're doing and finding a way to do it differently. And what I have seen is that people who are making consistent 100K months and above, they are using LinkedIn, but where the risk enters into this is that what if you get banned on LinkedIn? What if they stick you in jail? You're fucked. You've no access to any of your audience or any of the DMs that you've sent. Another thing that can happen is, they just decide if you get hacked or if they perceive your account to be a bot, they'll block you entirely and you may never get access to your LinkedIn again. I am not trying to put the shits up you. I am telling you this is stuff I have actually seen happen. I have been in LinkedIn jail several times. One of my mentors last year got an email notification from LinkedIn. At first, he was like, is this a spam message coming in? And they're looking for me to click something. LinkedIn sent him an email saying you are being blocked from LinkedIn and you will no longer have access to your account. They were going to block his entire access forever and not just put him in LinkedIn jail. That shit happens. It's real. Like, seriously. So relying on LinkedIn alone is not a good business model or strategy. And LinkedIn in and of itself is not a business model. And very often what happens is when people start to scale, what they end up doing is trying to do more of the same, but doing more of the same won't work. You need to do something a little bit different because otherwise you plateau. You will reach a peak, or else what you do is you open yourself up so that you become it's risky what you're doing. And yes, I always say take bigger risks, but that's not what I mean. I mean diversifying and doing things that you thought I would never do that. That's too risky. It's like it's doing that stuff. So, in terms of building a scalable, repeatable system so that you can grow beyond any ceiling that you're currently experiencing in your business, part of that looks like shifting from more of the manual type stuff to leveraged systems and leveraged lead generation. And what I mean by that is it's no longer doing manual outreach necessarily. It's about finding ways that magnetize clients and bring them into you. Now, if you saw my LinkedIn Live last week, I was talking about building your personal brand on LinkedIn and beyond, and basically how to become unforgettable. Because if you're unforgettable, you've built your thought leadership, you're the only person in your category. And when you have systems that are your intellectual property, when you have frameworks and methodologies, that means that nobody can compare you. What ends up happening is they become saleable without you, and you're less relying on yourself as the personal brand to be the thing that's being sold, for want of a word. And I posted about this recently as well, because what I realized was I was a bottleneck in my business and it was keeping me in a cycle of, I was still hitting 10K months, but some months I would have a 25K month. And then the next month I might have a 10K month, or some months I might have, a 30K month, and the next month I might have a 6K month. So overall, on average, my months are going well, but they're not always consistent. And that was kind of, okay, I need to do something about this because how can I manage cash flow if things are so up and down? And what I realized was I didn't have scalable offers and I was relying too much on LinkedIn. And I figured this out last year, luckily enough, and I was able to change that and build a product ladder that helped me overcome this challenge. And I recently had a podcast that I shared about this as well. It's 8 smart ways to scale your income without overwhelm. And that was out just in the last couple of weeks on the 25th of March. And I had another couple of ones out as well about pricing strategies and marketing strategies that drive more clients than ads. A few different ones that might help you if this is what you're experiencing in your business right now. Um, but my point is that if you rely too much on organic reach instead of owned assets, that's actually what becomes a problem. And by owned assets, I'm talking about email marketing, your website, your podcast, your even YouTube is not necessarily as risky as LinkedIn potentially because you have more autonomy over on YouTube because it's a search engine as opposed to a social media platform. So it's worthwhile just bearing that in mind. And whether it's LinkedIn you're watching this on or an Instagram or Facebook is your main platform, the same applies over there. So you just need to be careful of that. What I will say as well in terms of why this matters is if you have those things, those owned assets where you're constantly nurturing people and you're not overly relying on a rented platform like LinkedIn, rented land, it allows you to get off the hamster wheel because instead of chasing leads, what you're doing is you're engineering demand. And by doing that, that means you have more inbound leads and predictable revenue. So, how that works is you go from passive to active demand because what happens is the people who are buying from you are the people who already trust you. And the people who come into your world on a lower level of a product ladder, what will happen is if they buy from you once they are and get good value, have a good experience, they're more likely to buy from you again and go up the next rung in the ladder and the next rung and the next rung. And I know this to be true because it's worked inside in my business. I've seen it work in client business. And I look at my own psychology in terms of the types of things I've purchased and the people I've gone back with and worked with at a higher level. For example, I purchased a $27 course, and that $27 course, I implemented the strategies in that course. And within weeks, I made probably 25 grand from executing the strategies in the $27 course. And now I'm on a wait list for when that person opens up a mastermind. I'm like, I fucking want to be in that mastermind. If I made 25,000 plus from a $27 course, imagine what I'd make from a mastermind. And I have no idea how much that is. I'm on a wait list. I don't know when it's going to open. I'm like, tell me when it's going to open. I keep asking the question, how much is it? Tell me when. I'm bought. I'm like, I trust this person. I'm like, I'm in. When? Sign me up. Here's my credit card. Take it. That's how I am because they have created that active demand from me. I want more. I want more. I want it now. What's interesting is that stuff for $27, it's not rocket science. It's just simple system. I bought the system and I want that. I want more of those systems, right? That's what people want. So building your personal brand helps you promote your system. It helps people stop and pay attention because you become unforgettable and you become uncopyable. And when you do that, that's how you bring that demand. That's what generates that demand. And then once you start promoting how you do things and your approach, well, then that's what you can then turn into the types of things that generates repeat traffic and inbound leads. I'm talking about repurposing posts that were fantastic, that got great engagement, lots of impressions, and you know that that generated inbound leads. When you have that type of content, you repurpose that into a guide, into an ebook, into a template or a checklist, something that basically becomes a lead magnet. And from that lead magnet, you build an email sequence. And from that email sequence, you sell something. And once you do that, then it's working behind the scenes and you're not manually doing manual outreach on LinkedIn because you only need to create that email sequence once. You need to keep going back and refining it and perfecting it until the conversion rate improves and improves and improves. And once it does, then you're selling in your sleep. And let me tell you, business owners who are making over $1 million, they're not in the weeds doing the selling all of the time or doing the delivery all of the time. They have frameworks and processes that other people can step in and do. Just like the $27 one that I bought and the €97 one that I sell and my AI prompts that I sell for 27 as well. Those things just sell themselves. I'm not constantly promoting them or talking about them or pushing them. I don't need to because they sell themselves. And once you find something that works really well, that's well, even if it's free, if it's a free stuff that leads to an email that then leads to something that's low ticket, that's the kind of stuff that you run paid ads to. So once you are in that space where you have budget, that's where you need to start to look at paid ads. And LinkedIn, of all of the platforms, has the highest return on investment for your paid ad spend. So it's absolutely worth considering that. And if you have a personal brand, it's about looking too at how can you leverage your company page for that? Because as of right now, and I haven't been doing this myself, but paid ads, when you're at the paid ads stage, it is the company page that runs the paid ads and not your personal page. So you need to have something happening on your company page for the credibility in that to land. Okay, so the 80/20 LinkedIn model, less effort equals more revenue. And what I mean by this is posting more doesn't mean you're going to earn more. Plus, more followers doesn't mean you're making more either. What you want to do is monetize your best content. And again, that's finding the stuff that worked really well. And then it's monetizing that through consulting around it, about your thought leadership around that, and really focusing on that one piece of content that worked really well and repurposing it so that you're monetizing it. And that could mean creating your own digital product or creating licensing around it. Essentially, then what you're doing is you're turning insights from you and insights that LinkedIn is telling you that, the analytics, you're turning those insights into income and not just free posts that you're constantly sharing. So it's a way to generate revenue and money from your thought leadership and what you're sharing on LinkedIn. And what happens then is in doing that, you're creating an offer that scales and you're not just creating more leads. So when you look at the business growth quadrant, what you're looking at is which revenue stream is missing in your model. And it might be that, when things start at free, then there's low ticket. I actually kind of like to look at it nearly in a pyramid where the top thing on your product ladder in terms of revenue stream, that's your highest premium, most premium product, and that you have a ladder of products all the way to that top. And essentially, the top offer is a blend of all of the things in between. And you're selling it always to the person whose aspiration is to be the person who can buy your top product. But ultimately, they're not there yet on their journey. They're just not ready. They're not at that stage yet. Maybe they're early days in their journey and they haven't had all of the challenges that they need or the financial resource to be able to pay at that top product. And I do believe in having one offer that you make it your premium offer. It's the core thing that you sell. But I think having downsells and upsells from that is really important too, so that you can meet people wherever they're at on their journey and you're their person. And if you did like the things that I talked about in last week's live, you're their person and they want to work with you. So it is about looking at, is it digital courses you need to introduce? Is it one-to-one coaching? Is it retainers? Do you need to create affiliates or licensing for your frameworks and your methods? And these are the types of things I'm going to talk about in my upcoming masterclass on April 9th at 4:30 p.m. GMT +1. And what we are talking about is I'm going to be talking to you about building your 7-figure business model. If you want the link to register for that, please DM me the word 7 figures or masterclass, anything, any of the above. I'll know what you're talking about. But it is about how can you build those scalable systems so that you literally move from being an operator in your business to a fucking badass CEO. without burning yourself out, because it's so easy to get caught in the hamster wheel of doing the doing and doing the things that you've done before. But it's like I said at the start, what got you to where you are is not what's going to get you to the next level. And you do need to take some bigger risks, but diversified risks, smart risks, not risks that could whip out your platform from underneath you. And that means looking at LinkedIn, if you're not currently looking at it, as part of a lead generation tool, but also looking beyond that in terms of what can you create an offer and how can you bring people into your land as opposed to leveraging rented land. So I hope that all makes sense. And I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments below and tell me, have you been a bottleneck in your business like me? And remember the Master Your Business podcast, there's a bit more over there around other revenue streams that you can create off of LinkedIn and how you can leverage them to get some more income coming in. And if you're interested in attending the masterclass next week, let me know and I will send you the link to register. Okie dokes. That's it from me. Have a fabulous weekend. Thank you for watching and hope to see you at the masterclass. Until then, bye for now.